Hey Spuddies, Potato Whiskey here, and welcome back to Victoria 3, and we are deep into the late game, or should I say the beginning of the ultra late game, the things where things get really interesting. See, a lot of the early game in Victoria 2 is about shaping your society, and then a lot of the late game, Victoria 3, a lot of the late game is about the consequences of the shaping that you have done. And now the consequences of the shaping that we have done is a lot of war. There's going to be a lot of war. How things are going, we're building up our railways, we're building up our barracks, we're building up our military, we're continuing to expand. We have managed to defeat the deficit. We are now almost into cash reserves, which will be useful when we're fighting wars. We do have a little bit of a deficit of artillery and guns, but I think all of our gun factories have not yet spun up to maximum capacity. Yeah, there's a few that are unprofitable. That's mostly just down to the fact that steel is really expensive right now in my country. Yeah, it looks like explosives, engines, and steel are all quite expensive. Let's see if we can't bring down the price of steel quite a bit. We're also going to look and see if we can bring down the price of explosives. Yeah, our buy orders are just too big, but we'll bring down those prices, and I think also we need to bring down the price of engines, so we'll do a little bit of that. Just an awful lot of industrial goods that need to get handled here. So we managed to annex Newer, and now we should be able to make our diplomatic play. Our diplomatic play will be force recognition against Spain. We'll be fighting Spain, Portugal. Now, how do I actually do this? So Spain, Portugal, Spanish, Philippines, and Cuba. Let's confirm. Let's start recruiting military. We have a certain amount of our battalions are in reserve, so it'd be good to start recruiting generals. It would be good to have a general in Zanji and Oceania. You're bigoted. Woodland combat expert. You're not bad. Aside from bigoted, you're actually a pretty good commander, so we'll take you. In Japan HQ, there's probably a few more divisions waiting for control. You're bigoted, woodland combat expert, defensive, alcoholic, offensive. I'll take the bigoted woodland combat expert. All of my generals are bigoted. I don't know why. What's happening in Japan? I will take the meticulous guy. Meticulous is really good offensive planner, stalwart defender, really good general there. We are having a little bit of a bureaucracy problem, so we will need to just throw down a few bureaucratic buildings. I do believe, actually, did we unlock the ability to increase the output of our government? No, we haven't learned telephone switchboards yet. That would require telephones, and I believe telephones a luxury good, I think? Yeah, it's consumed by population. We will eventually get around to it. But we need to get our railways up, we need to get our government administration up, we need to get our bureaucracy up. Let's have a look. So they want a treaty port in Chukogu. They are fearful. They have a couple of people swaying their way. Now, what I would really like to do, I could liberate Zimbabwe. Here's a question. Do we... I'm trying to think about what my diplomatic play would be here. I would get the state of Spanish Philippines. Yeah, I really want the Spanish Philippines, so that would be good if I could yoink that. And if I could take a little bit of Portugal's holdings here in the east. So we do have a couple of battle lines to draw. We will very easily win in Africa. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say, hey, I want you to return the Spanish Philippines to me. And let's kind of see how that plays out in the political situation. They are fearful because they have rather large loans, which they should be afraid. So we did just get gantry cranes. Let's go for the floating harbour. This will unlock industrial ports, allowing me to have all of the boats that I need to supply a global empire. Yeah, let's take you. We'll mobilize you and put you on the front with the Portuguese. I'm also going to promote you so that you can hold more troops. You're okay. So yeah, I'll promote you so you can hold more troops. It'll take up a little bit of bureaucracy, but he should be able to fight the war in Portugal fairly easily. There's no other areas of conflict, direct confrontation. There is a battle line here, so I think I would like to put a rather large guy here. We'll go ahead and mobilize him to fight there. One thing that I haven't been keeping up on is, has the price of my goods been going up? I should be fine. So we've begun to mobilize. They're still fearful. Nobody is leaning their way, so I could push for more. Now I want to be careful about pushing for more, because that might encourage other nations to join against me. So it looks like they brought 2 Sicilies into the conflict, as well as Venezuela. All right. Let's go ahead and mobilize every general that we have. I still have battalions in reserve, so I'm going to go to my generals. Anybody who's like rank 1, we will go ahead and promote them. So you're getting promoted. You're getting promoted. This will allow them to command more troops. I'm not going to be using conscripts at all. I have a professional military, so I don't need conscripts. So now we have a few battalions in reserve. Most of the battalions in reserve are in reserve in a variety of places, like Oceania, so they'll just be like defensive military operations, which is their main goal. In terms of navies, I have a few navies in reserve, but I'm fine with that. Let's go ahead and recruit one more naval guy. So you get there in 3 days. They get here in a while. What's our combined? Okay, we do have higher stats than them. So how's this war shaking up? We've got Honduras on their side as well. Nobody interested in joining my side. Okay, I'm going to add some war goals here. I have plenty of diplomatic maneuvers. So what do we want to go for? I think it would be good to take some holdings in Portugal here. 2 million, especially right here. They've significantly invested into this area. 2 million GDP in the Mozambique area. Did Portugal back down? Oh, it looks like Portugal backed out of the war. Interesting. Or no, Portugal had a revolution. Get wrecked. So with Portugal having a revolution, that'll make my life a little bit easier. My African holdings should be well defended, and I can focus almost all of my military power over here. I could take this little Spanish port here in South Cameroon. It's a tiny little low GDP port that we can make use of. I think we just start going for war reparations from Spain. So let's add a little bit of war reps. Japan's growing colonial empire in Africa, along with new means to prevent malaria, has made us a serious contender for colonial control of the continent. Cool. Let's see. I will take Sicilian war reps as well. Get them to pay for my war, essentially. So that means I should really just deploy another bunch of troops here to the front line. He'll take a little bit of time to get there. So let's have a little bit of a look at Spain's naval situation. They have a decent number of fleets compared to me. 40 fleets. What is their composition? So they are producing ironclads. However, their ironclads are undersupplied, so they only have 30 offense and 30 defense. If you compare that to my ironclads that have 45 offense, 45 defense, I think I can safely start doing a little bit of convoy raiding. So let's grab one fleet. My big fleet, I'm going to put them on raiding convoys. Well, I can't do that just yet. Yeah, I'm going to put you. I'll have to kind of work this out when the war actually breaks out. So maybe I should add a couple of extra war goals. I think war reps is just a good one to add. So they're worried. Their loans are getting worse. It's making them real worried. I'm going to go ahead and pass another tax to try to buy me some time here. Oh, they back down. They back down. I'm now a fully recognized great power. I'm the second most powerful nation in the world. Huge. Where does it say that they back down? It just like disappeared. I think that needs like a little bit of work, the whole like it just disappears thing, but that's huge. So now we are now a recognized great power at the turn of the 20th century, which means it is half as expensive for us to conquer land. We have a decent amount of infamy in the bank, which is not ideal, but we have really good diplomatic mitigation. But like, let's say I wanted to conquer like Barana here. This cost me 14 infamy because I'm a great power. Whereas when I was an unrecognized great power, it was costing me like 50% more rather than 20% more. Making people puppets is actually quite cheap. A puppet is a subject type that cannot start their own diplomatic plays or forced to join their wars. They must also pay 20% of their treasury to your master. Puppets' rank cannot increase or match that master. They're overlords. So who could I could start doing puppets now. And the important thing about puppets is you can actually eventually annex them. So it's just like a really cheap way to get countries. Like if I were to conquer this, it would cost me 5 infamy. I think I would like to start conquering in the Indonesian era. So Great Qing's rank is too high for them to become a puppet, but I can potentially conquer a state off them. So the Sikh Empire in Tibet will come to their aid. What is the military looking like in China? What are you using? So you're still using line infantry with mobile artillery. So I think I have a significant military advantage. If we take a look at their capabilities, yeah, wow. Actually, their power projection is huge. So I want to have a look at Guangdong and Guangxi. Ooh, they do have skirmish infantry, but they don't have shrapnel artillery. I think I can beat them here, especially because I have way more flotillas than them. So I think Outer Manchuria is our goal. Now, the important thing is this is only going to hurt relations with Japan or with China and Korea. Our eventual goal will be to conquer all of Manchuria, including Korea. This all should be our land in the grand scheme of things. Mostly because this has really good access to coal mines, iron mines, and logging camps, as well as gold. And Korea has like incredible access to coal across the entire country. So it would be really good to get control of Korea. We have run out of places to expand coal. We've basically built all of the coal mines that we can manage, which is these. So they've added war reparations. So I don't want to do any like regime changes or anything like that. What I would like to do is to liberate Korea. So we're going to go ahead and add that to our war goals. So they're feeling confident because of their gold reserves. All right, if they feel confident, they can feel confident. Whole lot of diplomatic plays happening. How is the expensiveness of military goods? Ammunition's a little bit expensive. Let's go ahead and make sure that we prioritize an ammunition factory. And the diplomatic play has reached its point. Let's go ahead and mobilize our armies. It's going to cost us a lot of money, but I'm okay with that. We're going to be doing a naval invasion of Outer Manchuria, or we could actually go straight for Beijing, but I don't know if that's like the best idea. So we should be able to completely obliterate their navy. We have a relatively smaller army, but I think our advantage is in the artillery point of view. Yeah, shrapnel artillery are twice as good, so our kill rate and devastation will be just insane. The only thing I would really like to do is to do like field hospitals and first aid to reduce my casualties, but right now fabric is a little bit, be pretty expensive. 50k is the problem. That's the big problem, is the opium. The opium is the problem, so I would need to secure a source of opium. Okay, war has broken out, which means it's time to start managing our navy. Now, our main strategy here is going to be using this large navy to convoy raid outside, sorry, I'm going to send my 2 small navies to raid convoys outside of China. So I've got 1 navy at the East China Sea, 1 navy at the South China Sea. Can I recruit another admiral perhaps? They'd only have 5 ships, that's okay. This guy is going to prepare a naval invasion of Korea, actually, might be the way to do it. Let's do the naval invasion of Outer Manchuria. That should be very, very doable. And that'll take about 45 days for him to get that. So my navies are in preparation. I think each one of my individual navies could take on the entire Chinese navy, so I'm not worried about this naval raiding. Like, there's no risk here for me as far as I'm concerned. And hopefully by choking out China... Oh shoot, I forgot about this front down here. That is actually key. Now thankfully we are defeating them. The Vietnam is fighting valiantly down here. I forgot about this front line. It's a big mistake. Let's get as many troops as we can to the Indonesian HQ. Okay, naval invasion has gone ahead in Manchuria, so we're working on controlling that. We have a variety of troops making our way down to here. It does seem like China is trying to advance. We could probably hold this, but I think it would be interesting if I tried to advance here. It'd be very, very concerning for China. We're making significant gains here. Now there is nearly 200 divisions, battalions coming to fight me here, but I'm incredibly strong in comparison. But this is why it's important to have local garrisons. And it's why I built garrisons all over my entire country. So let's have a look and see if we want to reform our government. We can bring you into the Constitutional Reform Party. My legitimacy is really, really low. Let's kick out the peasants. What am I trying to pass here? So I want to keep the intelligentsia and the trade unions in power. I'll kick out everyone else. Well, I need to have the industrialists, so this should be slightly better legitimacy. So we're making really, really good gains up here. They're still waiting to arrive at the front line. I don't know how long it's going to take them, but they're not getting here quickly, I'll tell you that much. Japan pox has begun to spread, so now they're on this front line. However, our attack and defense is way higher. There is a native uprising coming against us. We'll have to deal with that. Strange illness has been reported. We'll just say, ooh, 500%, 5k progress on antibiotics. Hell yeah, let's do it. On this front line, we are slightly outmatching China. In this fight, we have 93 defense against their 27 offense. We should shred, dude. Yeah, they can't even stand up to us. Their divisions are just completely terrible. They have really good defense, but their offense is atrocious compared to our offense and defense. Okay. So they're just going to take casualties, and the amount of casualties that they take will dictate how quickly their war support will tick down. Now, China is a massive country, so they'll tick down pretty slowly. Our war exhaustion is coming down slowly, but we've actually conquered most of our war goals, so we'll be able to make a difference there. Right? There's a battle going on here between me and Korea. Korea has a pretty good army, all things considered, but my army, like, I've got 36 divisions in here. This guy's a super good general. Look at all these modifiers: defense, offense, morale damage, all that stuff. It's just making this completely untenable for them. And we should be able to push relatively quickly through Manchuria. So have we managed to engage a battle here ourselves? So we're on the offense, however they do outnumber us 2-1, and we don't beat their defense 2-1, sadly. We are killing more than we're losing. The big problem I have is I don't have a good source of opium. So let me have a look and see who's the biggest opium producer in the world. Maybe that would be the British. I can't change my division templates right now. As much as I would like to be taking less casualties, if I change my division templates right now, it would cause major problems for me. But yeah, this is just like due to the sheer number of divisions in this fight, we won't be able to break them. But up here, we have a much bigger army. But this fight down here is mostly like an attritional war. We're not actually really looking to advance in a major way. The main advances that we're looking for are up here in the north. To the point where I would actually consider... there was a revolution brewing, wasn't there? I need to assign a division here. You recruited general. There's a bunch of units in reserve here. I will go ahead and get you. You're a romantic. That's fine. Where are you? I will mobilize you and send you to this front line. Oh, there's 2 front lines. Okay, let me get another general. So I'd like to bring some more reinforcing troops here. Let's have a look. There's 86 troops here. You're bigoted, you're brave. Brave is good. Morale damage protection, that's helpful. And you're an explorer. Let's get a brave explorer. We will mobilize him. I'm also going to promote him once and twice. 3 times. And we're going to send him to Manchuria to help out. God, China's taken nearly 1/3 in casualties compared to our casualties of 84k. How's the battle going over here? Yeah, we're obliterating them. Completely obliterating them up here in Manchuria. Ooh, huge. So we passed restricted child labor. So there's going to be less money printing in my country from dependents. However, we'll be able to invest more in education, which is going to be part of our plan going forward. And the mortality of our farmers and laborers has actually been reduced from 5% to 2%. So we should start to see like a net growth in population and education here. So there we go. We're advancing the front line. China gets pushed back again. Pushing. We have a significant advantage. Another war with a native thing. We should be able to handle that just perfectly fine. There's a battle over here. Amazingly, their kill rate. Interesting. So why are we losing this? It's because we're doing equal amounts of damage to each other. Interesting. I'm surprised that I'm losing this. Although we might be wiping out their divisions faster than they're wiping out mine. This might start to push back the other way. God, yeah, that kill rate roll is devastating. Just shredding my infantry. Oh, hold on. We have brought their fighting capable men much lower than ours, so this might start to push back the other way. It's all dependent upon morale holding, I think. So goldfields in the South Island have been depleted. What that means is that's usually a signal that you need to come down here and start building gold mines. So I'm going to go ahead and put them to the top of the page. And the nice thing is, while I've been focused on the war and paying attention to the war and trying to see if there's anything I can do to micromanage or change things, my economy is just building itself up. We are advancing down here in Guangxi. That's huge. If we can start to put pressure on them, we can start to really, really get the war support ticking down. We are burning a huge amount of our economy on this war. Although we didn't activate conscripts, so it's only actual professional soldiers that we're sending into the battle. We're a little bit outnumbered on this front. We do have morale damage protection. Let's see, I think those are reinforcement ticks that are happening every week. And we reinforce more than they do because we have just better stuff. Actually, here's a question. Can I get my reinforcement rate up? Let me have a look. So I see higher tier infantry reinforce faster. So we can reinforce really, really quickly. I really want to do this. You know what? I'm going to... the problem is if I do this, it'll hurt the army's fighting capability on the short term. Not good. I don't think we should do it. So they're depleting faster than I am, which means I'm able to sustain battle for longer because I'm reinforcing faster than they can. And I'm doing damage to them faster than they can. So I should win most battles as long as I can keep more divisions, like keep most of my fighting capable men going. So this should start to push back the other way, right? Yep. It's pushing back. It'll just go whoop the other way and we'll win that battle. Boom. The battles are bleak just due to the sheer number of troops that we're having to blow through. However, that doesn't mean we're not managing it. I love seeing this though. This is really cool. Like the front line starts to get devastated and fiery and bad. Really, really cool. We should start to see some devastation down here, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, we're blowing through them here. I don't know if that was their attack, but even if it's their attacks that we're stopping down here, they're taking massive casualties on the offense. So I kind of messed up my orders here. These guys automatically switched over after the colonial war in Africa ended. So I'm going to have 2 20 divisions defending the front and then 2 large divisions advancing the front. That's kind of the goal that we want to do here. Speaking of colonialism, let's go ahead and keep colonizing. God, look how many troops they've just mobilized to this border. It's insane. It's ridiculous. Yeah, if we ever have a battle where we have even remotely similar numbers, we actually just shred them. It's insane how badly they get damaged. There's max level for my ports, which is, I believe that was floating harbor tech. So I should now be able to go to all of my shipyards and set them to steamships like so. I'll also make them publicly traded. And now that I'm using steamships, I can come to my ports and switch to industrial ports. This will make use of steamers. And we should see steamers equalize out in price. Yep, there it is. So we've got steamers now equalized out on price, but most importantly, I have an insane amount of convoys available to me now that I have highly upgraded shipyards. Do I want to keep upgrading my navy? My navy has been pretty key to winning this war, I think. How's my production tech doing? My production tech is relatively advanced. We've almost completed tier 3 tech. I think I've severely neglected military tech, especially navy, so I'm going to focus on that area. So let's get to work on destroyers so we can unlock monitors for our naval bases. Yeah, they're really not defending this southern area, so we're just shoving at them so hard. Their capability of maintaining this front line is starting to crumble. Okay, so this is actually a pretty important technology that we just picked up, is the steam donkey. This allows us to reduce the total amount of people employed in our mines. If we go to the steam donkey technology here, it allows my mines to use coal and engines to reduce the laborer input, which is going to, again, remember we talked about laborers. If we think about the population of my country, laborers are like the step up from peasants, right? These people are still impoverished. And while kicking all of these laborers out of their jobs is not ideal, they're drawing large wages. And by having less manual labor in our economy and using more goods, we open up the potential to expand our economy even more. So while it's bad for the laborers that we're industrializing, the hope is that they will get an education and be able to step up from being laborers, which is why I'm going to go ahead and get started on building even more government administration. I'm going to do a rather large expansion to my government administration, because then I can come in here and start upgrading my education level and even my colonial level. Although, you know, I maybe missed the boat on going hardcore colonialism because I focused so hard on building up my overwhelming economy. However, I do think that building up my overwhelming economy has paid off, because I'm almost outstripping Great Britain, and I'm the 8th GDP per capita in the world right now. We're continuing to shred. We've almost conquered almost all of Manchuria. China is now down to potentially surrendering. They're almost at neutral. If I were to offer peace, so they would accept white peace right now. God damn, they have 1,000 battalions, but it's not enough. It doesn't matter. And by the time the next war rolls around, I'll have even more. I've almost fully built barracks in all of Japan. I'm going to avoid expanding the military for now, though, because we're in a bit of a deficit because of the war. But this war... Oh no, I crashed. So I'm just going through and updating a lot of my factories. Right now, workers cost more than input goods. So I'm switching to anything that reduces the total amount of workers in my factories. Up to a point, because these goods get a little bit expensive. So I'm not doing it like blindly. But wherever it makes sense, more advances happening. Look, you can see the devastation of the war on the actual land. This is something I love about this game, is that it, like, I don't know, they put a lot of attention to detail to really add a visceral, beautiful experience. Like, I know I've been playing the game from this level, but when you zoom in, and you see the devastation of the front line, you know, and we're only at 20% devastation. Yeesh. It can get a lot worse in here, let me tell you. So I'm going to use Soroko Ito to invade Korea now that I've taken control of Manchuria. China's war score isn't ticking down anymore, because I actually have to take control of China, or of Korea. I didn't realize that. So I'm going to go to my navy, and I'm going to do a naval invasion of Korea with Soroko Ito, which will pull him off this front line. It'll take a little bit of time to set this up, but that'll be fine. So it looks like the Sikh Empire are even over here, but unfortunately their tech level just isn't good enough to hold against me. It would have been really nice to actually maybe vassalize the Sikh Empire, because I believe they can grow opium. Let me have a look here. Yeah, they've got opium plantations here, so if I could get access to this opium, it would be huge. I need to like get some holdings like somewhere here. To get access to that opium. Really, really important. We've managed to invade Korea, and we're making extremely fast gains. And by occupying Korea, now China and Korea are more likely to start looking to surrender. While our war support is like super high, they've already lost 1.5 million casualties in this war. Jesus. Progress down here has been way, way, way slower. I think that's because it's partially in like mountains and stuff. So we've been having a hard time pushing. But that's honestly not even that important. Despite the fact that we're at war and burning a huge percentage of our population in a war, our population is growing, which is beautiful. The line ever goes up, my friends. Ever upwards shall the line go. I do like watching this, right? We have minus 50% morale damage protection, and you can see our reinforcement ticks are just more impactful because we are killing them faster than they're killing us. Just watch the graph, boom, boom. This is the Battle of Outer Manchuria. I could imagine, though, in the super late game, when both sides have really, really good tech and really good reinforcement and really good recovery rate, I could see easily these battles going on for years. Like a single battle could go on for like, you know, dozens of weeks. And then only like a single province exchanging hands. So did we enforce our war goal? What's going on there? What happened to the front line in Korea? What the hell? Did you abandon this front line? What the heck? Let me see if I can fix that. Looks like we have another native uprising against us over here in the Congo. Let's see, can we find a army to mobilize? You, go ahead and handle that. I do like how 20 divisions, Japanese divisions, are just holding off like 100 Chinese divisions over here in this little peninsula. That's worked out really well for us. I basically, like, in my head, these guys are, this is like Dunkirk. They're like entrapped here and they can't escape. So I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to what happened in Japan. Because, yeah, he's like, wait, why are you leaving? Advance the frontier. Why aren't you in Korea? That's your job. Your job is to take over Korea. I sent you there. Okay, so the front line thing is a little bit buggy. Like, I can imagine that it has like a couple like small little quirks. You have to babysit it a little bit. But this is the first time I've engaged in like a really, really big war. It's kind of exciting to watch like the giant economic machine that I've built go up against what is arguably like one of the most powerful countries in the world, China. So Korea's war support is basically 0. We're just waiting to burn China's war support. God damn, I took a 500,000 dead. Should be probably less than that. I think the game's numbers on this sort of stuff is a little bit, it's probably mostly attrition deaths, actually. You have a look? Yeah, mostly attrition. So if I can figure out a way to take less attrition, that'd be cool. Ooh, we've got a naval battle too. What's this? A battle between Japan and Joseon? Or is this a naval landing? I'm not sure. How odd. Are they naval invading me? I'm not sure, actually, to be honest with you. Well, no, that actually went in my favor. I just like completely obliterated them. Okay, so we enforced war goals on Joseon. Oh, did we do it? We conquered Outer Manchuria and we liberated Korea. Sweet, we own Outer Manchuria. Let's immediately build those gold mines to pay for that war. That was the plan all along. So who am I still at war with then? Lunda. Oh, this is the little colonial war here. So this is huge. We just got control of Outer Manchuria. We liberated Korea from China, which means we can then move on and potentially conquer them ourselves. So how's our infamy looking? That's a good question. So we are notorious right now. So we're going to spend a little bit of time chilling. Conquering Outer Manchuria was a big deal for us though, because it gets us access to a lot more coal, a lot more iron, more gold mines. It's kind of relatively poor land. You can only really do livestock agriculture out here, but that's not really the important thing. And meanwhile, while I was focusing on the war, our economy has been like building itself. It did kind of stall a little bit because it's less effective than me managing things. So let's go ahead and take a look at the economy. All right. The basic goods are fairly cheap. Clippers are expensive. Explosives are expensive. Now let's take a look at the explosive industry, because I know I built a decent amount. Is that just down to the fact that we're consuming a lot of explosives? I mean, all these factories look profitable. See, sulfur's quite expensive, iron's quite expensive, and coal's quite expensive. So let's do a little bit of an expansion there. So sulfur, iron, coal, and then we'll build a little bit of explosives. It'll take nearly a year for us to filter through that construction queue, but that's fine. So I'd love to get out of these wars because I would like to demobilize my army. I'm paying a lot for my army right now to be fully mobilized, and you can't demobilize even though you're at just like these kind of crappy little wars with the native people of Africa. That doesn't require, like, it doesn't need my entire military to be mobilized. Great, so the gold mines are going up and we're at war again. Okay, cool. Let me just make sure those... Yeah, I've got divisions handling those wars. Probably like way overkill. There's like, Jesus, yeah, way overkill. But we now have access to monitors, which is a nice tech up for our naval bases. Let's continue to focus on developing our navy, because developing your navy is the most important way that you get to project power. Because the declared interest thing here, this comes from having naval bases. And in fact, we actually have a huge amount of declared interests. So I'm going to go ahead and say I have an interest in... I could start like really just like... So like I have an interest all the way around here. Hawaii's had a revolution. I don't know how long that's been going on. So I have interests that like span the entire Pacific Ocean. I'm kind of curious about this. I'm interested in this. I care about all this. I'm trying to pick things that would be logical for Japan to care about. I care about all the coastal stuff. And, you know, I have an interest in Africa and Spain. So this is like where my empire is curious about. Anywhere coastal that I can get involved in, I'm interested. I'm particularly interested in conflict with Spain, though, because I want to get control of Spanish Philippines. But I got to burn off a lot of infamy. Out of curiosity, I wonder if there a way to burn off infamy faster. Not that I can tell. Yeah, so we don't want to become a pariah. That's the most important thing. We're notorious right now. So people are like, okay, these guys are conquering. These guys are doing a bit of conquest. They're being the bad guys. I'm okay with being the bad guy. Right, so it's been a bit of time since I've actually looked at my economy. And, I mean, things aren't bad. I think it might be time now to switch away from mercantilism, potentially to something like free trade. While we are pulling in a lot of money from tariffs, if we go to free trade, sorry, not mercantilism, agrarianism, it might be time to switch to maybe interventionism. Right, that would allow our capitalists to start investing in our pool more. Right now, we're mostly relying on aristocratic investment, but we don't have a lot of that. We could alternatively go to laissez-faire. This would allow me to only subsidize certain industries and stuff like that, but it would mean that I could go into debt and not take as much interest. Command economy is kind of an interesting one to me, but with laissez-faire, I would be able to pull a lot of money into my investment pool. However, I wouldn't be able to subsidize anything. Interventionism is nice because you can do a lot of subsidizing. Let's try out laissez-faire. Let's give it a go. There are people calling for a parliamentary republic. I think I want to stick with autocracy for as long as possible. When I say autocracy, I mean like a monarchy. Because that little bit of authority that I still get from it is quite nice. But the Japanese people will start calling for more reforms. The nice thing is we just conquered a population of 2 million. So what's going on here? Why do you have input goods shortages? It's because you don't have enough infrastructure. Let's go ahead and get you a railway then. And we'll get you a port as well. Port and a railway should handle your problems. And now that my army has stood down, we have mad cash available. I think all my armies have demobilized. Yes. Huge. So now is the perfect opportunity. Now that we can't go to war for a little while, let's make sure we go skirmish infantry, shrapnel infantry, and at least first aid. And then we want to look for an import route for opium. So the Brits would be a good access point for that. Now, out of curiosity, did switching that actually hurt the combat power of my troops? And it could be a good time. I think I'd like to lower my taxation level. I'm going to do that right now. It's been a long time since I've been able to lower my tax rate, and it's been really scary to be sitting at maximum tax rate because that gives you no headroom to respond to economic crises, right? You can't raise taxes to cover costs. So we've got a little bit of a market access problem, so a whole bunch of more railways. We're also lacking coffee, so let's start building a little bit more coffee. Question I have, can I increase my wood production? Could I transition to a steel frame construction sector? Ooh, 156k. Ugh. But that would be an insane construction rate. I don't think we're ready for that. Out of curiosity, peasants are still the most populous thing in my country. I need to get less peasants. I do have a huge labourer pop though. I think we can stop promoting social mobility now. I need that authority back. There's other things that I need to use it on. It looks like there is activists to bring women's suffrage has become a bit of an interesting little bit of a debate going on in my country. What are we trying to enact? Laissez-faire. So we might have to work on women's suffrage now that they can work, they need to be able to vote. Why is my economy stagnating? I think there's a problem with my economy. My game crashed again. Seems as I'm getting to the late game, I've experienced more crashes. Which is strange because I played nearly 80 hours of the game and I got 0 crashes. But now in this game, as I'm getting into more complicated late game stuff and crazy stuff is happening, I'm getting crashes. Right, let's handle the economy a little bit more. Everything's generally fine. I'm a little bit light on hardwood. Let's double check. We're producing hardwood everywhere. Can't justify the steam donkey. Can justify rail transportation. Definitely want to be publicly traded. So every time you conquer somewhere, you have to kind of like fiddle around with things. Yeah, I definitely want to do steam trawlers just to make sure that everything is set up correctly. So I'd love to do electric sawmills. I think the main thing I need though is to increase my hardwood production. The problem is hardwood is actually very, very difficult to get access to. Coal is so expensive that I'm actually able to justify spending explosives on that. That should bring coal down to a more reasonable level, right? Yeah, we're going to use coal mine production method dynamite to increase the total amount of coal in my economy. Steam donkey will also it'll lower coal production because the factory is now using more coal in the form of a steam donkey. I don't think I want to do that. I could start doing electric fences, but I would need electricity. I think some of these buildings are understaffed, but that's okay. Let's switch to fertilizers and harvesting tools, publicly traded, using fertilizer everywhere. Let's double check our production methods here. You should be using this, but I can't really justify it. Water tube boiler for now. Okay, in terms of military goods, we're in a relatively okay place. In terms of luxury goods, we're in a relatively okay place. Things are a little bit expensive, but nothing's crazy. Industrial goods is where like things are going ham for me. Yeah, I just need like to massively expand my hardwood capabilities. And that's going to require like a huge investment here. Each one of these things only produces 10 hardwood. Really not very much hardwood. And we have a deficit of 400, so I need to build like 40 of these. So that's 10, 15, that's like 40-ish, I think. More native uprisings. They seem to happen fairly regularly. Understandably. I'm basically taking their land. Mobilize a division and put it on the front line. That'll handle that. Right, we have a little bit of bureaucracy overhead. That means I should be able to increase my education investment, which will slowly start to push the education level of my pops up. So laissez-faire is about to potentially pass. Let's have a look. 3 days until it goes off. No dice. But I definitely feel like I've managed to... Our economy is stalling a little bit, but that's just due to the war. We should start to see an even further upward tick, especially because of the population bump and stuff like that, and just the sheer amount of money now that we have, and the fact that we're a recognized great power. Our colonies in Africa are doing really well. But I'm going to call it, but this isn't really a map painting game. It's not really about war. But I'm going to call that the end of the episode. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.